Well, hello and welcome to the first of our 10-minute trainings, 10-minute-ish, we'll call them. And the first one is going to be all about one of the most prevalent questions, I guess, that we get asked. And that is, how do I find the gigs? How do I find the stages? Where can I make sure I'm going to get to speak? In fact, it's quite incredible. So a number of people in our sales calls even will say, yeah, well, that's all well and good that I'll learn how to put my signature speech together, but I need someone to just find me the stages. Now, the quick answer is we're in Australia. You can't find them quickly. And then I got thinking about all the things that we do with our clients. I thought that this might be a really, really good way to talk you through what's necessary to find the gigs. There is no silver bullet, right? There is no silver bullet. So there's three things that I want to actually run you through, three distinct areas that you need to do. And the first one of those is you need to be ready. Okay, you need to be ready. We're going to break that down for you in just a moment. The second one is that you need to get outbound. And the third one is a concept that I'm going to share with you about Big So Good. So if you're actually really serious about finding stages to speak, then we're going to walk through how we do that. So the first thing is you need to be ready. And there are three elements to being ready. So 1A, if you like, so one is be ready. A, the first element of that, be ready, is actually invest in creating a fantastic signature speaking piece. I don't care if it's a TED Talk. I don't care if it's a business presentation. I don't care if it's a keynote. I don't care if whatever it is, right? But invest in actually curating and creating an incredible piece of content. Now, that is not usually able to be done on your own, right? You are going to have to invest with someone somewhere as a coach to help you really land it, because what you think is magnificent content won't necessarily be what we need to get you out of the you're so good zone into the you're in my head, tell me more, here's my check, can you speak for me, right? So you need to create a signature speaking piece, whatever that format is, that is going to push you through into dropping from the minds to the hearts of the people you speak to, even if all you're speaking for is a business presentation. That's number one. Be ready. Have your signature speaking piece beautifully created, curated, and something that you're proud of, that you can deliver, that will actually land in the hearts and minds of your audiences. That's 1A. 1B is clean up your digital footprint. Right. If you're a speaker, I need to go and find that you're a speaker. If you're telling me that you've done X, Y, and Z, I need to be able to find that. Right. Clean up your digital footprint. Make sure that your LinkedIn profile reflects who and what you are from a spoken perspective. Make sure that you've got links to great pieces of content that you've done before. And it might not be speaking on a stage. It might be podcast guesting. It might be YouTubing. It might be on other people's stages. It might be presenting in a network group. Just make sure I can track all this stuff easily. Make sure that any recommendations or testimonials or wow factors are listed on your LinkedIn profile and on your website. Ensure that you actually have a page about speaking on your website. The amount of people who tell me they're speakers and there is no speaking page on their website. Make sure that you actually have an Instagram profile if you're really serious about getting speaking engagements and getting moving. So make sure that you've actually cleaned up your digital footprint, that it reflects what it is that you say that you're trying to sell to people as a speaker, right? Number one thing, give me the social proof, show me that I can trust you, give me the links, right? The third part of be ready is you actually need to have a certain level of collateral ready. So as fully established high fee earning professional speakers, you will see they have extraordinary YouTube channels, they have incredible speaker reels, they have one sheets and speaker brochures and all these things going on, because they've got a massive amount of spoken content that they can draw on. But you don't have to start there, right? But you do need to have them in place. So you do need to have some form of a speaker reel. Now, that speaker reel might be completely temporary. It may be made up of photos. It might be made up of, just quotes and things. But we have three levels of speaker reels that we build with our clients. And the first one is when they come out of the gates and don't actually have the exposure and the collateral to put one together. Then we have, so that's the initial. Then we have the interim, and then we have the main game, right? So you need to have some form of speaker reel. You need to have some form of the full read through or run through or speak through of your keynote or signature speaking piece. That doesn't have to go onto a website, but it has to be available for people to look at if they're looking to book you, especially if you're unknown as a speaker. Now, we moved one of our clients from 3K to 6K just by doing that and repitching her to a range of speaker bureaus and and agents and event managers. So really, really important. You need to have what we call the speaker video portfolio if you're not established. So that's a series of 3 to 5 different types of speaking videos that speak to something specific. They're only 1 to 2 minutes and very easily absorbable. You need to have a one sheet, right? And preferably, if you really know your topic, a brochure. You need to pull us into your world. You need to have your bios done, your MC introductions done. You need to have proper, great headshots that can be used. If you've got any high quality, high res images of you speaking, you need to have them available. So you need to also have the collateral. So number 1, create that superb piece of spoken content. Number 2, clean up your digital footprint. And number 3, invest in the collateral, even if it's only first level collateral. Okay, those are the 3 things you need in place. If you don't have that in place, you're not willing to get that in place, then please don't tell me that you want some help to get your speaking gigs, because these are fundamental to getting in demand. And this is also about getting more than the first stage. The next thing is that you're going to have to get outbound. As an unknown, you have to outbound hustle. Get some practice stages, get what we call the first 5 friendlies, get places. And we have a specific strategy around that. It's not just getting on the stage. There's a very specific strategy around the first 5 friendlies. But you're going to have to get outbound. You're going to have to outbound hustle. Who are the people? Who are the people? Who are the people? Where do I find them? Where do I find them? It's marketing 101. And to start with, just like if you were starting any other part of products or services in your business, you're going to have to get outbound. There's a little bit of hustle, right? You know, we have some great success stories, but they are predominantly 80% of them are outbound hustle. 80% of them to start. It's not a life sentence. You don't have to do this for the rest of your life, but you have to get outbound, you know, and we have very specific strategies around how we do this without killing ourselves. But at the end of the day, you can't sidestep it. There's no silver bullet. You have to find the stages you want to be on. You have to know how to pitch yourself. You have to reach out to them. Right. And even the greatest of speakers will tell you that that's how they started. And for some of them, I know multi-million-dollar speakers that still outbound hustle for at least 30 minutes of every day. And if you're just starting out, you're not prepared to outbound hustle, then you actually probably won't get out of the starting gates. Now, that's number 2, get outbound. You've got to be visible. You've got to be outbound. You've got to be prepared to do little stages. You've got to be prepared to do stages where 10 people turn up in the room, right? Get outbound. Get moving, get the momentum moving, and you will see results. It is literally A plus B equals C plus D equals E plus F equals G plus H equals results. Get outbound, right? Don't wait for things to come to you. You're going to have to hustle a little, but then you'll get to a place where there's some rhythm. Then the third thing that you're going to have to make sure, the third thing is actually more a philosophy and insight, and it's be so good. Right. So whilst everybody's coming to me saying, I want to know how to get the gigs. I want to know how to get the gigs. I want to know how to get the gigs. The truth is, if you were good enough, you'd be getting them. Right? Except for when you're starting, except for when you're emerging and nobody really knows that you exist. If you've been around for a while and you've been speaking for a while and you're not getting the stages you want or the gigs that you want, then you need to look in the mirror, because the truth is that you're not good enough. Now, let me tell you where this comes from. Aside from my own philosophy that I've had for years and years, I never used to invest in marketing as a consultant, as a business owner, because if we just did the best job possible and were really ethical in what we did, then we knew the business will continue to grow, and it proved itself time and time again. We generate 7 and 8 figure growth in multiple different businesses in different industries just by being so damn good that people sought us out, right? Being the expert. Now, I know it's a little bit different in this last 3 to 5 years because we're flooded with content and copy of thought leaders and expert positioning. So how do you cut through? You need to get so good. And where this came from, where it was reaffirmed for me, was in 2018. I was at a conference in the US. And one of the sessions, a 2-hour session, or might have been a 90-minute session, was actually owners of speaker bureaus in the US. It was actually people from the International Association of Bureau Agents, of speaker bureaus and agents. And it was also some people who were from a very high level and founders of the Professional Conference Organizers Association of the US. Really powerful panel. And one of the questions was the question that so many of you asked me: when do we pitch you? And the answer was superb, because the first person who spoke from the panel said, you don't. And you could have heard a pin drop. She said, don't pitch. Don't run into us in the corridor and tell us you're a great speaker and tell us that you'd love to be represented by us and tell us all the reasons. She said, be so good that we come to find you. Be so good that our speakers start losing jobs to you. Be so good that when our speakers share the program with you, they ring us and say, hey, have you come across Marianne? She's freaking amazing. I just heard her speak. Are you guys representing her? Be so good that we come to find you, right? It's the same thing. If you get a small free stage, you don't know where that's going to end up. Treat it as though it is a $20,000 gig. Treat it as though it is a $200,000 generating revenue platform for you. Treat it as if. Now, every time we do this, so for example, if I go to my own personal experience, I spoke for a small chapter event for free, right, of a major organization, national membership-based association. It was in my neighborhood. I spoke at it for free. Right. I definitely positioned it properly. And that's part of the strategy we talk to our clients about. I spoke to that for free. I then got what we call a low bono job at their state conference, which was also in my home city. Then what happened from there, though, because both times I knocked it out of the park. So I got the state one because I knocked it out of the park. I treated the free one as if I was being paid and as if I was in front of the most perfect audience ever. Out of that, I then got the closing keynote for their national conference in Melbourne. Right? So give it your all every time, no matter where you're speaking or what you're doing. Be so good that people come to find you. Be so good that people want to take you further. You know, we had a situation, I was mentoring and coaching a guy in the US, and he's a CSP, and we were reigniting his platform and his career. And he was part of NSA, and NSA is the National Speakers Association, which we have the equivalent Professional Speakers Australia here. And the typical format when you go and speak for chapters, because you have to get yourself there, and in the US there's some pretty big distances for doing that. And he was going to be going from Philadelphia down to Dallas in Texas. And the typical format was, because you're speaking for free, you get to kind of position a workshop that you'll come back for, and you kind of have to create it unless you've already got something, and you kind of sell a cheap rate for them to book on the night, and then you come back into town. To me, that's insane. And so I convinced Jim that he should deliver his keynote, and he should frame it as, you guys are all involved in areas that I'm not. You guys all speak on stages that I'm not. I'd love to really deliver my full keynote, and also so that you can see what a $1 million fee speaker does, because a lot of people at these chapter meetings are actually emerging and aspiring speakers. And so convinced him he should do that, and to actually be ready for the response that came afterwards. And he literally didn't want to do it. He was hyperventilating. He called me from the airport at both ends saying, I don't think I should do this. I'm really nervous. Like, I've got no way of recouping my revenue. I was just like, trust me. And he got up there and he delivered as if he was being paid full fee, which for him was $35,000 US, full fee on one of his conference stages. And he blew everyone's minds. And what came out of that, now bearing in mind that he would have set up a small low-cost workshop, what came out of that was he got referrals to full paid bookings from people in that audience who knew audiences that would love him as a speaker. The other thing is that he had a few people come up and speak to him, and he ended up signing up 3 private mentoring clients at substantially more money than he ever would have got into the thing. So he generated over 6 figures by treating this free stage like it was the stage. So the one message I want to leave you with, and we've been a little bit more than 10 minutes. The one message I want to leave you with is, be so good that they come to find you. Yes, focus on getting stages, but you're all asking me the wrong question, right? You're not asking me how you can be so good that you get dragged and invited onto the right stages. You're not asking me what are the steps I need to make sure that those stages find me, right? You are thinking about, what stages am I going to get and how am I going to get them, before you've even put your signature speaking piece together, before you've actually invested in the craft, before you've actually put the things together that tells people they can trust you, right? Be so good that they come to find you, and every single stage that you're looking for will be yours.